OCL and welcome to the Cherokee Phoenix Breakdown. I am Tyler Thomas, the Executive Editor of the Cherokee Phoenix, and I am honored to be joined by Cherokee Nation Secretary of Veterans Affairs and former Deputy Chief S. Joe Crittenden, as well as Stephanie Birdwell, Director of the Office of Tribal Government Relations for the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. Today's episode focuses on the history of our Cherokee and Native people serving in the United States military, as well as the services and programs the tribe and others offer to support our veterans. Secretary Crittenden and Ms. Birdwell, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Tyler. It's great to be with you all.
Thank you, Tyler. It is great. Thank you.
American Indians and Alaska Natives serve in the United States military at 5 times the national average and have served with distinction in every major conflict for more than 200 years. Native people have the highest per capita involvement of any population to serve in the armed forces, as well as a higher concentration of women service members than all other groups. Secretary Crittenden, why have Native people, particularly the Cherokee people, been so willing to answer the call to serve this country, even as this country tried to eliminate them and their culture in the past?
Tyler, I think there's several reasons for that. Chiefly, this is our homeland. They're the Native people. The treaty obligations, a warrior spirit to protect your community, your village, your country. I think all of those things play into the participation that the Native peoples, and particularly the Cherokees, have demonstrated through the years, and I'm proud that they have.
Ms. Birdwell, as we stated, Native service members or Native women service members have a higher concentration of females than all groups. Why do you think that is?
So Tyler, I'd like to first mention that when it comes to female veterans, a lot of times they actually don't think of themselves as veterans. So it's important to ask a question about veteran status by saying, have you served, rather than are you a veteran? So when the term veteran comes to mind, I think a lot of people automatically think of a male. The state of Oregon initiated a photograph campaign called I Am Not Invisible, and the VA Center for Women Veterans actually followed suit with a similar campaign, with the Secretary's photographer taking these beautiful and powerful photographs of women veterans, which serve as a visual reminder that women do serve. They are veterans and they have compelling reasons for serving our country in the armed forces. As to why they serve, I really think it varies from service member to service member, but from my experience visiting with Native women veterans over the years, many who are raised in rural or remote communities, the primary reasons include really a lot of it's echoing Secretary Crittenden's responses about why American Indian Alaska Natives have a high rate of service to begin with. And that's the opportunity to defend and protect the homeland, the land itself. Native people, as the original inhabitants to this land, have an especially strong connection to the land we live on. It is truly our homeland, and that can be a powerful inspiration and source of motivation to serve. Other reasons that I've heard over the years include the desire to protect the tribe, the community, the family, protecting the culture, protecting the language, and then also some very practical reasons, the educational opportunities that serving in the armed forces presents, the opportunity to acquire skills that can be used once they return to civilian life and have the ability to provide for the financial needs of their own families. And then, of course, I think something that's also important to mention is the family tradition and legacy. They may want to continue to serve in the U.S. Armed Forces as their family has a history of doing, and follow in the footsteps of relatives who have served. And I think that, that's true for both male and female veterans.
Awesome. Beautiful. Secretary Crittenden, as I stated a few minutes ago, Native people have served with distinction for more than 200 years. That span includes World War I, World War II, the Civil War, and much more that saw the United States rely heavily on their Native service members to use their language, and it's particularly in World War I and World War II, they relied heavily on their Native service members to use their languages to send secret military messages. What kind of role did Cherokees play as code talkers when the code talkers were deployed by the armed forces?
I think the first time that there's any mention of Cherokee code talking activity was in World War I in France, I believe. And they were utilized to, as you mentioned, to transfer messages, communicate with other groups that were in the field in the language of the Cherokee language to make sure that the enemy could not, break it down or intercept it and understand it. And so from World War I, as far as I know, and then World War II, our Cherokee code talkers, and one in particular that I found the name was George Adair, who's a Cherokee citizen born in this area. I can't find too many other code talkers listed, Tyler, as far as names and such, but I know that we were involved and involved heavily, probably more so than it's written down. And I'm extremely happy and proud that we participated to help, win the war efforts and also to save the countless lives that the code talking program helped us do.
Yeah. In 2013, when you were serving as deputy chief of the tribe, you went to Washington and accepted a Congressional Gold Medal as the United States was honoring the code talkers. Can you just kind of describe what you felt as a veteran yourself to be there and be stepping in and as your tribe was being honored for what they had done in the past?
It was a great day. We say a lot of times it's a great day to be Cherokee, and it was a great day to be a Cherokee and a great day to be a Native American and be in a room, Emancipation Hall, that was room to wall with Native people. Some people had on, war bonnets, and we had one person there, I believe that day, that was a code talker from another tribe that accepted his silver medal at that time. I think 33 tribes were there that day, and they were, as I said, Native people across, identifiable Native people, wall to wall in there, accepting the medals that they had desperately earned back when we had to win the wars. And I heard from several speakers that day, and they played music, and it was so patriotic. Harry Reid was there, he spoke. Speaker Boehner was there, he spoke. Several military commissioned officers were there that spoke. And they talked about the eradication or the attempt to eradicate our language and all those efforts, the boarding school issues and all of those things. And to hear them praise the effect of the code talker participation and the countless lives that were saved because of that. And I mean, it was just, you have those goosebump moments, if you let me use that.
Yeah.
So I was extremely proud. And by the way, we received 2 medals that day. We got the gold Congressional Gold Medal, and we got a silver medal. Former Speaker Byrd accepted that one. And I'll tell you something, this is kind of personal, but I came home with that medal in a little pouch or carrier, and I didn't check it with my bags. I held it all the way home. Mm-hmm. Didn't want to lose it. And when I got home, I called Chief Baker, and I said, Chief, I've got this gold medal. I said, where can I put it? Has anybody got a safe I can put this thing in so we can get it, displayed properly and everything? He said, oh, just hang on to it. Tomorrow we'll do something with it. Tyler, I slipped that gold medal under my pillow that night. I slept with it under my pillow. So anyhow, I was proud. I was proud as a former serviceman, or Cherokee man from the country of Adair County. I was very proud. I don't know that I've ever been prouder than that particular day.
That just on a personal level, I thank you for your service and representing us there that day.
Thank you, Tyler.
Ms. Birdwell, the list of famous Cherokee military leaders includes names like Admiral Jocko Clark, Second Lieutenant Billy Bob Walkabout, First Lieutenant Jack C. Montgomery, and Specialist 5 Dwight Birdwell. Each man made a significant contribution to the United States during their respective time in the service. Can you briefly speak to what these men did and the significance of it?
Sure. So each one of these brave Cherokee men made courageous sacrifices in service to our country, and their actions are a source of enduring pride to the Cherokee people. It's because of these men that we are able to enjoy the freedoms we often take for granted on a daily basis. And I'd like to add that the work that Secretary Crittenden does for Cherokee veterans and service members is really critical, helping with access to services and benefits that they earned in order to ensure the best quality of life possible for veterans and their families. It's important to serve those who served us all. And so we're grateful for that. So, these men are remarkable in what they've done. And it's really humbling to even be able to reflect on their contributions, and it really underscores why it's so important to make sure that we make a better way and clear the path for our veterans once they come back home to us, if they're able to come back home.
Yeah.
Right.
Secretary Crittenden, what kind of inspiration do you get or anything from whenever you hear the stories of those men that I mentioned?
It depends on the situation you're in, Tyler. Those gentlemen, those heroes, they answered the call. Many of them were drafted, probably, and some of them may have enlisted. But in the situation, in the battle they were in, they saw a need and they stepped into the breach, and they done what they had to do. Some of them spilled precious blood, and things that are soldiers and sailors and all do when they have to protect our country. Just incidentally, we had a gentleman here this week, Vernon Walkabout. He's a brother to Billy Bob. Presented eagle feathers to chief and deputy, and we talked about that with him. And of course, there's a bench out here at our memorial with Billy Bob Walkabout on it, and the Distinguished Service Cross. And those men that you mentioned, one is a very good friend of mine, and the others I know about because I've read about them and all. But those kind of folks, they come to the top. They show up when they need to. Thank goodness for them. And so there's another great sense of pride in our people. We've had many through the years.
Yeah. Secretary, we've spoken about the rates of Native people serving in the armed forces and the history of the Cherokee people in the United States military. I want to shift our focus to the services the tribe is providing today for our Cherokee veterans. What are some of the major services right now the tribe has for Cherokee veterans through your Veterans Affairs Office?
Well, the cream of the crop, if you will, or the Cadillac, I guess, is the Warrior Flight that we take. We've taken 6 of them. It started in 2014. 2020, we didn't take one because of the COVID situation. We didn't take one this year. We have plans to take one next year. There's a new memorial there at the Museum of the American Indian that I got to help with some of the design with one of my fellow veterans from another tribe got me to come in and sit at a table one day, and I said, "Why am I sitting here?" He said, "Well, we want you to help with this." So anyhow, we were supposed to have a big blowout opening in 2020, and it didn't happen. So in 2022, if everything works right, we're going to go a Warrior Flight again. We're going to that memorial, and we're going to have a celebration there if everything works. But the other services, we have the Medal of Patriotism, the Warrior Award that when we do it at full council, we haven't done that in a while either because of the virus. But they look forward to that because they film the veterans, they get to tell their stories, those things. We got we got a claims and all that facility or ability here. We got, of course, the memorial out front. We got the bricks out there around the memorial that our veterans can participate in. If they get the Warrior Award, they get a free brick, and we put it in the circle out there. The counseling services we have, readjustment counselor here, Matthew Tiger. We have people from ODVA come in, usually one day a week, and sometimes it's every other week. We have DAV people sometimes that show up. Now they've been a little bit less to come in because of their COVID again. We've been known to transport people that needed a ride and things. We try to help folks that are come in that are homeless. We have the HUD VASH program that we have here. We've got food outreach that we do. We do food outreach here in Tahlequah. We do some at Nowata once a month, and we do some at South Coffeyville. But we got a lot going on, Tyler, and Barbara Foreman, the director here, is responsible for keeping things moving, and she does a great job. And so I mean, it's not perfect, but we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Ms. Birdwell, in addition to what Secretary just mentioned, what other services should Native veterans be aware of that could be beneficial to them?
Well, I'll kind of respond here in two parts. I think to emphasize what Secretary Crittenden said about services that the tribe provides to Cherokee veterans, but then also to extend that awareness that services for veterans exist at many tribal government levels, at the state government level, and at the federal level. And I encourage veterans to initiate contact at any governmental level. Now, if veterans or their families are uncomfortable or unsure about where to begin, because it can get complicated real fast, they can certainly start with us. I would say start with, of course, Secretary Crittenden's office with Cherokee Nation, or they can reach out even with us at the VA Office of Tribal Government Relations to learn how and where to start to connect. So we always welcome that. Like, when in doubt, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to get you to where you need to be. Another important recommendation is be sure to enroll in VA healthcare. Benefits are always changing. I always like to emphasize that. Congress makes changes frequently that result in changes in the types of benefits that are available, and also adding additional benefits. So if you were previously denied or discouraged from applying, there may be opportunities on the horizon. I'll give you a specific example of that. A law was enacted going on about a year ago now that provides by January 5th of 2022, American Indian and Alaska Native veterans will no longer be subject to copays from the VA for their VA care. So as you know, there are generally no copays that are generated when Native people receive health care from the Indian Health Service. You typically aren't going to make a copay when you are seen by Cherokee Nation Health or by a tribal health program. Well, now basically that same deal that Native people get from the United States for health care is going to extend to American Indian and Alaska Native veterans. So VA is working hard on the details of how to implement that, but that's certainly a very exciting and important transformative change. But you got to be enrolled in VA healthcare in order to get to that step of getting the no copay care to our veterans. Another couple of things I just want to encourage. Secretary Crittenden mentioned claims. Be sure to file for VA benefits, compensation, or pension. And then a specific list that I'll just kind of give a kind of an overview. And again, any follow-up, just let us know. For home loans, there's the Native American Direct Home Loan, which is the VA mortgage product for veterans who are living on lands, restricted lands, or trust lands. There's a program called the Special Adaptive Housing Grant that's available to modify homes for veterans who are 100% disabled. And a lot of Native veterans do not know about that. There's something called Caregivers Expansion. For the last however many years, the caregiver program through the VA was exclusively made available to veterans who have been serving over the last 20 years. So, a more recent generation of veterans. As we go into 22, that expansion is going to be available for caregivers for veterans of all generations. It's a very, I think, comprehensive program. It's a very generous program. It even includes things like respite care through VA for caregivers of veterans. It includes compensation for caregivers of veterans. So that's something that I think is really important that our Cherokee veterans and their families are aware of as well. And then finally, last but not least, education benefits. A lot of times folks think about the GI Bill, but a lot of times overlook things like vocational rehab for through the VA for veterans. So anything that we can do to even help with outreach and do presentations or community presentations, whatever we can do to assist in spreading the word, we're more than happy to help out.
Okay. Deb, I want to just touch on a couple things that you probably have on the horizon or that are kind of been updated as of late. Another dearly loved program that the Cherokee Nation has always had was the Cherokee Nation Color Guard. They're a highlight of the Cherokee National Holiday festivities and other events throughout the year. Can you give an update on the tribe's color guard?
Tyler, as you mentioned, the holidays, they're a big thing that we do in Tahlequah. And we have people come in here, as you well know. The powwow is a big draw. We haven't participated, because of the situation lately.
Yeah.
The color guard we haven't utilized at a lot of get-togethers because we haven't been having any get-togethers.
Yeah.
But we are reforming, if you will, or reestablishing Stephen Morales. We went through a process with the Attorney General's office to get a 501c, I believe 19 now. That's basically done. There's some, as I understand, there's some funding that's been awaiting that completion, and he's got close to a dozen people now that's going to participate in our color guard.
Yeah.
So things are looking up there. Getting well organized and everything, and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
They just brought our trumpet back that we have here, the one that they use, when they do the burials and things, the color guard, and they've been doing some of those and other things that they get invited to. So before long, Lord willing, we'll be back in the swing of things, and they're ready to go, and they should be doing a great job, and we should be enjoying their performance.
Yeah. I'd be remiss not to mention this one because it's a pretty big deal for the tribe and veterans of the tribe. But can you give us an update on the status of the Cherokee Nation's Veterans Cemetery that's been in the works since Chief made that announcement last year?
Tyler, we have the site located. It's on the road out by the powwow ground. It's just, you go up the hill just a little ways and it's on the right. It's almost directly behind the old casino out there past Sequoia School. 20 acres, which is adequate for a long time, probably, once we get approval and funding and that. And to my knowledge, we're on a list right now. I think it's looks like 19 on a priority list. Now we're going to try. I made a call yesterday to a gentleman in DC. We're going to try, since we've got the Gadugi, portal now. We got a warrior database on there where veterans can go on and log on with a password and everything, and they can put their information on there, where they served, when they served, what years, what branch. They can even download their DD-214 if they care to, and hopefully, with those efforts, we're going to get a lot more numbers of, veterans in this area and different things. And I'm going to resubmit that to DC to see if we can't bump our position up for priority. And the other thing I'm going to suggest, Tyler, is I think there was some thought that we would make this, if they approved it, a veteran cemetery for Cherokee veterans, primarily only. Okay, I think we'll have a better chance to make it or ask for it as a Cherokee Cherokee Veterans National Cemetery, and include interment for all veterans that serve this great country, as long as they're honorably discharged. And I think that may help move us up the priority list a little ways. I don't know if that's going to be approved or not, but that's what I think, in my mind, ought to happen to get us, get it to happen quicker.
Yeah. Secretary Crittenden, is there anything more you'd like to offer before we end our discussion today?
A couple things, Tyler, if I might. We got time, I hope.
Oh yeah, take all the
Ms.
time you need.
Birdwell, during the presentation, we were talking about healthcare, or we mentioned it. And we have an agreement is with the VA that if the veteran is more comfortable going to one of our clinics or our hospital for treatment or for medication or whatever, the VA will reimburse. If I understand, we have an agreement like that, that they can come to our facility or they can go to the VA, whichever. And I think I'm right on that. So, and the other thing, Tyler, I want to mention is the Air Guard units and the reserves and those that are building the houses out by the powwow grounds. We have 7 brand new houses out there that we were out there the other day with some folks from Arkansas, the Guard unit. They've got those dried in, the windows are in, the doors are in, they're insulating, they've got the heat and air going in. And we've had 3 days of the same group of folks here in the Veterans Center planning the next phase, which is 7 more for in the year following, 7 more for a total of 21. And it'll be strictly for veterans. Now, I don't know the nuts and bolts of what the rent or lease or whatever all that amounts to, but our housing authority, Jerry Killer and them, will probably administer that. But whatever we can do to make veterans, their time and their lives better, I'm happy to see happen. So it's a good program, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, that's terrific. Ms. Birdwell, anything to add before we conclude?
I do want to just maybe add on to what Secretary Crittenden said, is that housing program, that is so impressive. And we've actually reached out and have been doing everything we can do to kind of shine a light on that and spotlight that as the best practice. So we really, commend Secretary Crittenden and the Housing Authority and everyone who's been involved, Chief Hoskins, for their leadership on that. It's really impressive and exciting to see. Also, just to get into just a little bit, so the reimbursement agreement program, Cherokee Nation does have that program with the VA, and VA is initiating talks, listening session that's going to happen, one in December, one in January. But basically, VA is gearing up to work on updating those agreements to incorporate reimbursement for purchase referred care, which used to be called contract health. And that's been something that has been requested for a number of years now. So we're really excited to see things moving in that direction. I think that's going to really be helpful with veterans and care coordination and access to. So just wanted to mention that as well. But really, I just want to close by saying it's been a real honor and pleasure being with you all today. And I want to encourage the listeners and the viewers out there, if they have any questions, that I'm available. They can reach out to me directly. I'm happy to share my email address. It's stephanie.birdwell@va.gov. I always appreciate hearing from our veterans, and just again, thank you for the opportunity to share this time with Secretary Crittenden and share a little bit of information about our veterans. So thank you all.
Secretary Crittenden, Ms. Birdwell, thank you for joining me today and discussing the history of our Cherokee people serving in the United States military, as well as the services and programs the tribe and the VA offer to support our veterans. I also want to thank our audience for watching or listening to this episode of the Cherokee Phoenix Breakdown. And be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to watch our next episode. Whatever.